Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today is the WNR472. It's NXT Update, and it's NXT Stand.
And deliver.
I am not alone, of course. You've just heard him then. I've a pleasure to be joined by a resident NXT expert at Nxtupdate. It is Monty. How you doing, man? We're going to have fun on this show.
Oh, man, I'm already in a perfect NXT mood. It's about time. It's been a while. You know, we got like an impromptu kind of break when it comes to this, so I had to refresh myself. But once you get back into the swing of things, it was easy for me to figure things back out. So I'm ready to go again. You know, NXT always fun. So again, back to our little baby. You know, after doing all the mountains of wrestling we have to watch. Yeah, now we got to get back to
gotta go back
the
to
sometimes troublesome child. Yeah.
Like I said, it should be fun. We have got 5 episodes of NXT, and of course, we have got NXT Stand
and deliver
on this update. So 3 episodes of NXT before the show. Then March 14th, Johnny Gargano had a clear message for Grayson Waller. He's ready to defend the NXT against his disrespect of his loudmouth rival. However, commentator Vic Joseph just showed Johnny Wrestling that Waller was at his house. So I'm just laughing how coincidental Johnny Gargano saying, "This is my house," and Vic going, No, he's at your house. I mean, what the chances?
And then it made me wonder, it's like, oh, so Vic wasn't listening to Johnny anyway. He's too busy on live.
Instagram.
Check it out.
Following Grayson Waller.
Yeah, on Grayson Waller's Instagram page. He's not paying attention at all.
Well, later in the night, Gargano brawled with Waller outside his house until Johnny Wrestling was laid out. Candice LeRae made a poor choice of coming out with the baby to check on her husband.
Very poor choice.
I mean, thank God it wasn't Snitsky, otherwise that baby would have been booted. You know?
Yes, oh, what a different time. She's lucky we're in this era of WWE.
So, anyway, we'll move on from that. And the NXT Tag Team Championship on the line. Gallus, the champions, versus Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Gallus, in my eyes, cheated to retain, right? Because Pretty Deadly had coffee up for spilt milk, but Wolfgang, the illegal man, interfered and made the save. I don't know. I don't like this. And then Gallus cheated to get the win. It's a bit of a shame with Pretty Deadly. I thought this match would happen at NXT Stand.
Yeah, and deliver.
So it's a bit of a shame, Pretty Deadly. But are they playing the long game with us here?
That's what it felt like. You know, I don't know why they seem to be, kind of putting off that crowning moment that it seems like Pretty Deadly is made for again. But you know, maybe they're trying to flesh out an actual tag division, like you said. So that takes time. So they're trying to build other people up, let Gallus run with the belts a little while before maybe down the line Pretty Deadly wraps around again and gets a shot again later on in the ring. But yeah, definitely was expecting this match for Stand and Deliver, and I really did not know how this would turn out because it was kind of it felt like something to just intrigue us. But I thought it was way too soon for Gallus to lose it, so it went pretty much how I expected. But I will say this, as much as Pretty Deadly has gotten away with the illegal man interfering, I guess it was, you had to tip your cap a little bit to Gallus.
I completely disagree with you. I don't think I disagree with you more about any point whatsoever. Even back to NXT UK, Gallus were always cheaters. And Pretty Deadly did beat them back in the day, and I'm sure they will do it again. We get a doctor advised that it was unclear what was wrong with Perez medically. That's a great doctor, you know?
Right? He couldn't tell us anything.
Is that, doctor, what's wrong with me? Huh? I don't know. But don't worry, because Shawn Michaels was there announcing qualifying matches for a ladder match with the NXT Women's Championship, because that's a safe match for Roxanne to be in. We don't know what Richie is, but we're in a ladder match.
That's what I'm saying. Either she wasn't going to be in it, or like, I'm like, man, they moved on quickly from Roxanne. Like, wait. barely explain what happened, and we're just moving on to the next stipulation. But yeah, ladder match. That's perfect way to bring back someone who just collapsed. We again, no explanation. We didn't find out, what it was too much later, and even then, they still aren't really clear about it. So. Well, yeah.
The thing is,
improve from here.
There's a lot of problems in NXT.
Yeah.
Right? The car park is one of them. We've spoken about this before.
Uh-huh.
Another one is,
Definitely.
Can we please stop breaking up tag teams? Because we had, well, first we had a ladder match qualifier. So we start beating Ruka. NXT Women's Tag Qualifier. Anna Paxi versus Dawn. Fire versus Chance and Carter. We see Tate Paxi turning on Ivy now. She laid out her friend. What a shock. Isla Dawn got the victory here, but what is their fucking problem? We've only got 2 teams. Why did they
have reasoning? Especially in the women's division. Like you said, the males, when they're kind of trying to flesh it out, you can tell they're trying to build something. But in the women's tag division, we only had Katana Chance, Ivy Nile, and Paxley, and then, like you said, the champs pretty much, and then the unholy union. So pretty much you only have this many teams. So you drop down from 4 teams to 3, and then the only explanation you can give us is, well, I never felt like I was a part of Diamond. Well, wow, just woo. Okay, whatever.
I just don't,
they didn't even build. It wasn't even dramatic either. Like the current tag champions was arguing more than they were. So make it make sense, but whatever.
I wonder what's going to happen with the tag team champions. Yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
We see JD McDonough interrupt Ilya Dragunov in the ring. The two agreed for a match next week and began brawling. Speaking of brawls, Wesley got into one backstage, hitting the necessary evil. The brawling did continue as the NXT North American champion entered the ring. Axiom ducked in the square circle, but Scripps blindsided them. McDonough and Dragunov got back in the ring. Lee decided to jump on everyone ringside just to make his own point. Andre Chase talked Duke Hudson back into believing Chase's message of inclusion. Ava Rain left Hudson a yellow mask afterwards with a smile. Dragon Lee arrived at NXT, talking up his opportunity to make a new mark. Later backstage, Sean agreed to let Lee defend the title in a fatal 5-way match at Stand and Deliver, and he would choose his opponents. We had Apollo Crews come out swinging against Dabo Kato, but the big man was just too powerful. Kato got the nearly won by count out with a choke bomb on the steps, and then picked up the pinfall victory. And as I read this, I realise they've not followed up on this whatsoever, have they?
Yes, he's not done anything since. Went back to the big man abyss I told you about. That people in NXT disappear to every now and then. And also Apollo loses again, so he came back to NXT to really work on putting guys over. That's what it seems like.
I bet he's looking forward to jobbing out to people on Dark and Ring of Honor in a couple of years.
Oh, goodness.
He can't wait. Ladder match qualifier Gigi Dolan beat Kiana James. Jace Jalen announced her shoulder was separated during a match with Dolan the previous week. She promised to make her pay when she recovered. After losing their title match, Pretty Deadly, Yes Boy, decided they would host or stand
and deliver.
And Shawn Michaels made it official. Do you know what? If we can't get PD in a tag match, then host, I'm on it all day long. You know?
Right? It felt very Miz-like, too, by the way. I lose the match. Hey, I know a way I can get on the show. I'm going to host it.
Well, like I say, really good stuff. Tony D and Challenge Stacks Lorenzo offered their services to Breaker, who refused. The Don and the Underboss agreed they need NXT Tag Gold. Pretty Deadly arrived to officiate the contract signing, interrupting the growing intensity between Bron Breaker and Hayes. Melo and Breaker were surprisingly civil in his contract signing, though I think, definitely got better with exchange. Trick Williams repeatedly told Pretty Deadly to stay quiet. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince talked her way into sent through a table after the deal was signed. No, boy! I mean, I really like this in a way because of just how useful Pretty Deadly are. Very Miz-like.
Again, yeah, exactly. And again, like some people hate Miz, but like here's a great example, or like even Ziggler. I know he kind of A lot of people really gave him attention for an interview. He kind of mentioned how he was good anywhere on the card, and Ziggler's another great example of someone you can have him at the front, you can have him in, doing something in the intermission where it don't seem like it matter, or you can put him in the main event, and people won't give up on the main event. They know he probably won't win, but they won't give up on it. And I think it's like you said about with the Miz also. Even if he, even, no matter how much of a fool he looks like one week, he can always come back and be able to fill in, even in stuff like we've seen Miz in NXT facilitating storylines for these people, for people before. So again, here you go, Pretty Deadly showing that they can not only bring it in the ring, be for goofy, hilarious, entertaining, but at the same time they're serious as hell as a tag team, and you know that. And here go another. This is another great moment of them just again showing that flexibility, the versatility, the ability to be able to just kind of like be, just blend in, and no matter what, like they fit. And I think that's something that this segment really showcased.
Yeah, without shadow of a doubt. We move on to March 21st, and speaking of Pretty Deadly, they did open the show. Their words brought out Kamala Hayes and Trick Williams, who challenged them to a tag match against Mello and Bron Breakker, who cleared the ring after the Hills attacked. We then get ladder qualifier Tiffany Stratton beat Indy Hartwell. Tiffany looking to become the next Mandy, maybe. Wesley talked about fight with all he has to be a worthy champion. Dragon Lee came out to call his shot. JD Madonna tried to call his own, but Ilya Dragunov arrived for their match. Lee remained at ringside to watch a brutal battle between these two men. However, the contest was left undecided after they brawled right into the Luchador, who fought them both to a no contest. Lee announced Madonna and Dragunov for the third and fourth spots. He told Axiom he would need to earn the final place in the Battle Royal next week. Why would you fuck Axiom like that? Anyway, speaking of Lee versus JD, I know we've seen these compete in NXT UK, but they have got a chemistry. I mean, they threw bombs from the beginning. This is what it looks like when like two guys actually hate each other. That's what you think. You guys could watch this.
Yeah, I think people throw the terminology blood feud around, and sometimes just like a lot of things, phrases are thrown around a little too much. But that's what this is. That's exactly what this feels like. I think this is the definition of a feud that just like it has roots, it has a history to it, and they fight like it. Their matches are put together like two guys who just are sick and tired of seeing each other, as at the top of these divisions or whatever, always having to battle out. Like JD pretty much has laid it out perfectly. Everywhere he's gone so far, he's always ended up having to run into Dragunov, and Dragunov loves pain, and we all know that JD has an obsession with inflicting it. So again, they're kind of like a match made in heaven when you want to think when it comes to that style and just being very, very aggressive. And I think what I like the most about it is it's nothing else on NXT quite like it. There's other feuds going on. Even like we said, we saw Grayson Waller and Gargano get personal, but it's still nothing else on NXT has the fire and the intensity that those two bring out of each other when they're fighting. So yeah, man, I really think, like you mentioned, they had that. I'll never forget the brutal war that they had with no one in the BT Sport Arena, and all the selling in that match and just how great that match was. They just, like you said, picked up right where they left off down in Florida, man. It's amazing.
This is the thing, and don't get me wrong, and I'm a huge fan of Ilya Dragunov, but I think with Jordan Devlin, that transition, he's stepping up his game. I know he's called the Irish Ace, but you could argue with his performances, he has been the ace in NXT in recent times, so I think credit to him. And I love the transition from NXT UK guys coming over and still being able to perform the way they did, rather than kind of changing it up a bit too much, but then again, that's how strong I think these performers are as well.
Right, 100%. They don't need to update much if they have to update anything. And that's the one thing I agree. Even with Isla Dawn and even Alba Fire, I know they changed the name. They changed a lot about Kaylee Ray. But at the same time, her work and who she is, pretty much the same. So, I agree 100%. They don't broke. You can't. I'm messing up my own phrase. How do I mess that up? If it ain't broke, don't finish it. Don't finish it.
Exactly.
Can't talk.
We're just too excited. Johnny G's music hit, but Javier Bernal arrived instead and demanded soon NXT stand.
And deliver. I miss my kid.
You missed it. There we go. We knew we'd do. Look, we got that far in. To be fair, I'm putting you under a lot of pressure because you don't know when it's going to come. I'm trying to add an NXT in front of it just to give you a little bit of a chance.
Gotcha.
But, we'll see what happens. Well, stand and deliver spotlight. Johnny wrestled and hit the ring, laid out Burnell, and challenged Grayson Waller to an unsanctioned match. Waller appeared in the Titantron, agreed to sign a contract for the contest next week, but only if Gargano agreed to stay at the arena for the entire show. The Creed brothers challenged Gallus to a game of pool and darts, then agreed to an NXT Tag Team Championship match to stand and deliver. Now, Monty, I don't know how you play darts in America, but that ain't how we play darts in the UK. We don't just usually hit the bullseye. But again, I don't know if the rules are different. Is there different rules to darts?
It's the funny thing you say about that is it's definitely it's not different rules. I think the way you guys are playing it is probably the proper way. We just a lot of us, especially younger people, if we brought up playing darts, the only thing they told us about is just try to hit the bullseye. They didn't tell us anything about adding up the numbers and the way it actually, it's a proper game. But a lot of us didn't know that. So the only goal for some of us is just to hit the bullseye.
So no
yeah.
I got no, that's fine. It's very British, I would say, as well, darts. So, but again, we see Tony D and Shannon Stacks. Lorenzo arrived to negotiate well into their bout, which they did successfully as well. Some people called it an entertaining segment. NXT showed a video package on a debuting Eddie Thorpe, the former Carl Fredericks. We then had a ladder qualifier, Lyra Valkyrie beating Ivy Nile. We see Tyler Bate challenge Schism to an 8-man tag team match at NXT Stand.
And deliver.
Joe Gacy was not interested until Duke Hudson said the winner would gain control of Chase Campus. And Bron Breakker Mello versus Pretty Deadly Yes Boy in the main event. Well, Breakker and Hayes actually worked well. Pretty Deadly found a way to smartly isolate the latter. However, the NXT champion got the hot tag and hit a spear on Kit Wilson, set up Mello for the mic drop to win. But again, this and Pretty Deadly bumping their little bums off, aren't they? Giving the best.
Right, and then again, showcasing that ability to be untouchable because no one probably thought they would win here, but when they put together a match, they really know what they're doing, and like you said, they did a great job of just making those both contenders for the NXT title at the time, or the champion and the contender, made them look really, really good. And again, it's just whenever I feel like it, and I don't know if I have no inside scoop about how true this is, but it just feels like the way Shawn Michaels used Pretty Deadly, he knows that at this point, if I just add Pretty Deadly to the segment, they'll get the job done.
I think without a doubt, like you said, they've been one of the most entertaining things of NXT, and they're perfect heels in a way because you mentioned Ziggler as well, but they've lost their last 3 matches, and all they need is a beatdown to be then taken seriously again. Beat someone down
again, right?
You know what I mean? It's like they have to win, and they'll still be hated as well. Weirdly enough, as well, I don't know what happened to me, but I had a bit of space. I don't know why. So I watched Main Event for March 23rd, and Monty might ask me, why the fuck did you do that? And it's a very good question. But the 2 matches...
Yeah, what made you do that?
Well, because the 2 matches caught my eye. Bronson Reed beating Nathan Fraser, right? Not bad.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Shelton Benjamin defeating Charlie Dempsey.
Oh, okay. I get it. I know exactly why you watched it. That's interesting. This is, like you said, that's a unique matchup. Both of those matches are very unique.
Yeah,
and it also makes you wonder how close to being called up is Nathan and Dempsey. Like, are they closer than you would expect?
This is the thing. Looking back on it, they have a lot of NXT. Mello's been on it. Bron's been on it.
I've seen Mello on there before.
So it's interesting to see, and especially with that mixture, it's just like, yeah, okay, it's something to maybe. I'm going to keep my eye on it, and anything else like that.
Yeah.
Happens. But I'm not going to start a main event review or
I don't suggest you do that.
No, I mean, that's crazy. And a little trivia, actually, WWE main event had the Shield versus the Wyatts as one of its first main events. Weirdly enough, back in the day, we actually reviewed it on the podcast. Anyway, Moving on.
I remember those days.
Yeah, God, back in the day. March 28th, the last chance qualifier battle royal for the NXT North American Championship Fatal 5-Way. Well, Odyssey Jones removed Dijak faster than expected and took out his frustrations on the big man, throwing him into the steel stairs. Apollo Crews went on a run, including eliminating Idris Sanofi and Javier Bernal, but Dabo Kato finally took out his former friend. Charlie Dempsey took out both Goulet, who kept brawling to the back. Fraser elevated Axiom for a kick to eliminate Mahal. Dempsey worked with Axiom and Fraser to toss out Dabo Kato. The final three were Charlie Dempsey, Axiom and Nathan Fraser. The superhero booted Dempsey to the floor, and the final impressive sequence between the two faces ended with Axiom tossing Fraser. After the match, Lee, Dragon Lee, Ilya Dragunov and JD Madonna all arrived to face off ahead of their Fatal 5-Way match. This was good shit, and then it's letting people like Axiom and Fraser. And again, I don't know if I'm just being biased here because obviously I'm fans of them, but Axiom I thought was the right choice. I think it's really entertaining, and what a 5-way match we've got coming up.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He fits right in, even though honestly you can make the argument that, either guy there could work. And then like you said, with Charlie Dempsey also being there with the final three, it was a nice little peek there who you can see who's right on the cusp. And then you have Axiom picking up the win. And I agree. I don't think you're being biased at all, man. Axiom is really, really picking up steam. And again, he's someone that when they changed him from A-Kid to Axiom, we both took a step back and was like, he's gonna have to. And it's not that I didn't have faith that he could make it work because I knew how talented he was as A-Kid and all that. It's just more so just like he's gonna have his work cut out for him. And honestly, you can't tell me that this isn't going way better than we both imagined when it comes to this character and getting it over, So, yeah, I mean, he's knocking it out the park. And I love the fact, and I think the smartest way is because they decided to let him just do what he does best. He's just A-Kid in a mask in a lot of ways, in honesty. But they've also allowed him to be a little more clever and all of that. So I'm really behind what Axiom is doing, and he's the perfect person, in my opinion, to make that Fatal 5-Way complete.
Yeah, and there's a moment in the update. I think becomes the most popular person in the entire NXT. We see the final three was a wet dream for me. I'm not going to lie. Having Dempsey, Fraser, and Axiom there, oh my God, just good stuff. And more NXT UK goodness is Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. They previewed the NXT North American Championship match. Elton Prince predicted McDonald's win, while Kit Wilson believes Dragon will take it. We then get Taylor Bate beating Von Wagner. Could things get any better at this moment in time? No, honestly, I mean, I was expecting Shawn Michaels to say Pretty Deadly would be added to the tag match. Like, you know what I mean?
You would have been over the moon. Yeah, man, this is a very, very good, very positive NXT UK tribute show here.
It was great. They had to bring us down to earth with Elektra Lopez beating Valentina Feroz. Roxanne Perez confronted Shawn Michaels in his office. She talked him to letting her participate in NXT Women's match, despite his hesitancy. And she said, well, you would have done it. He goes, all right, go on in. But think about the stuff Shawn did. I don't think that is good.
Right.
Yeah, Rox, refuse to work and put over other wrestlers. That's what you need to do.
Right. I was about to say, yeah, do everything Shawn Michaels used to do.
Relinquish your titles.
See how that
Any
works
title.
for you.
Yeah, just relinquish them.
Lose your smile.
We have Eddie Thorpe making his debut. The former Carl Fredericks made light work of Miles Bourne. Eddie Thorpe, it's early stages, and he did make the jump, like we said, from Strong to come to WWE. And I don't mind that. He's backing his own talent to get over. Will the Eddie Thorpe counts at work? But it's good for him.
Right, it is very good. And also, again, I didn't think about this until I kind of did some research after finding out, about his age difference from a lot of the guys in the LA dojo that he was training with. He's in his early 30s, so it makes a lot of sense that he would like to take that chance on himself now, you know what I mean, and just go out there. He has a foundation to work on, and can he, get, like you said, get himself over with his own talent, even, of course, probably using a lot of the fundamentals he learned in the LA dojo with New Japan, but taking it to that next level as an entertainer to become an NXT superstar. I wish him nothing but the best. I can't wait to see how it turn out. I know he has a lot of potential. But yeah, when I figured out that he was a lot older than a lot of the guys he came up training with, it was just like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Then I would definitely go for it when you get that opportunity, especially in your early 30s. So I like it. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's always good to see someone taking a chance. And speaking of chances, we've got last chance match. Good segue. Indy Hartwell beat Sarah Ruka and Ivy Nunn. We then had Drew Gulak versus our boy Hank Walker, and Hank Walker fought with fire against Drew. He looked like the better technician in the ring. However, Charlie Dempsey blasted him with a forearm to the back of the head, setting up Gulak for a small package to steal the win. And another last chance opportunity, the family versus the former NXT UK tag champs and the best team in NXT. Wait, it's not Pretty Deadly. No, boy. It's Brooks and Jensen. Fuck that. They lost to the family. Fucking hell. Speaking of Pretty Deadly, we did preview Stand and Deliver cards. Speaking of Gargano versus Waller, the two questioned whether Waller would put his career at risk by signing the contract. Well, Waller brought his own security to look over the arena to make sure Gargano was not there and protect him from when he got in the ring. He took the contract and finally signed it, and Johnny Gargano waited for the right moment to reveal he was masquerading as a cameraman, because most cameramen wear hoods and masks over their faces when they're performing. No. A brawl broke out, security could not contain. How fucking stupid was Waller here that he didn't check,
Yeah, he looked kind of foolish. I can't lie. I know. Sometimes you gotta suspend disbelief in wrestling, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough. He looked really, really bad. Because you're right. And as someone who's carried a huge TV camera when I recorded a football game in my pad, those things are heavy. You don't want a hood on. You don't want a mask on. You're already hot and sweaty, most likely. So it makes way more sense for you to be like, who is this weird suspect-looking guy holding the camera? He doesn't look like our regular camera guy that I'm used to seeing. I think it was.
It's not Pete.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't look like Pete. I guess Pete is. I guess Pete's dealing with a chill or something.
But again, what did you think of the build-up leading to Stand? Oh, we can do this. What did you think of the build-up leading to NXT Stand?
And Deliver. I thought the build-up, for especially with Gargano and Waller, I don't have a problem with it. It's personal. Like you said, it did have some goofy moments here. Like you said, Candice bringing the baby out, and then Waller there. It's like, why? But at the same time, I understood what they were trying to do. And then when it comes to, at first I did not like the tag team, but later information made me come around on that. I still don't like them just being so lackadaisical about giving up the title shot, but it makes sense later. We'll talk about that. And then, with the women's division, I was I had a kind of thought process in my mind that maybe this story was all about Roxanne overcoming this and all that, but it would have helped if we knew exactly what she was overcoming. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I don't think they mentioned exactly what's going on. I didn't see it until the kickoff show when they said something about an anxiety attack, and I was like, "That's what we calling it now." I thought she was unconscious. I thought she passed out. Like, I'm not saying you can't do that when you have an anxiety attack. I'm just saying you guys not being clear about it is the reason why I'm confused. Anyway, it had its ups and downs. Melo and Braun, I wasn't so sure about them being friends, but I got around to it once they explained how much respect they have for each other. So again, it makes sense. I didn't mind the build. It definitely could have been. They've definitely done better to get you invested into a Stand and Deliver or a takeover. But I did overall appreciate the card.
Yeah, I think without a shadow of doubt, we're looking forward to it. We've had enough kind of build up now. But before we do start, I just want to say how much I really do enjoy, and I think are great people. Jackson and Gina, I think Jackson and Gina are probably the two greatest people on earth, and it's a pleasure to have them whenever we do a show. I just thought I'd say, you know what I mean? I know, Monty.
Yeah, it's such an honor.
Yeah,
I agree. I like. man, every show is just they're on point. It's just I really appreciate everything they bring to what we do. Like, what would we be without the rest of our team, James? I don't know.
No, we wouldn't. We really wouldn't. You know, we struggle.
Exactly.
You know, this show's not as good.
Yeah.
We know that. You know.
Right.
But you know,
we miss you guys.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. April 1st, and it is NXT Stand
and Deliver.
So we're going to kick off first. Pete Rosenberg, Dave LaGreca. It was passable. There was a match on kickoff, which made me go, fucking hell, because it was an hour long. Kickoff, like, it's not normally an hour, but there was a match, and then as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, fuck, because it was, you know where I'm going with this one.
I know.
Chase U versus Schism, fight for the university. Fuck. Anyway, we start the match with Hale demanding a shot at Rain, who refused to tag him first. When they clashed, the Chase U student laid out Schism Star until Reed broke up the pin and forced a tag. When Reed made a second save, Hale made him pay with his springboard tornado DD. Hudson finally got involved, running over the Dyad on his own with powerful strikes. Gacy nearly took the win with an upside down on Bate, but Chase made the save, and then Duke Hudson managed to get the win for his team, and Chase U was safe. Monty, what was your thoughts on this? Because had I known this was on kickoff, I would have gone the same different.
I agree with you 100% because I know exactly what you were thinking as soon as you saw that. It's like, there's no way Chase U is over. They're going to do it here. So, yeah, it was fun. You know, I didn't have a problem with this match. I thought it was a good enough story when it comes to Duke Hudson and his future. Because again, that was the only thing I wasn't sure about fumbling. I was like, would he turn? Would it happen? And I think that was probably the biggest question going into it. But like you said, the placement plus, again, the execution of it. I didn't too much like the spot though, like putting on the shirt and then doing it. It was just so over dramatic to me, but it's fine. I'll take it. It did work. I understood what they were trying to do. Thea Hale looked good to me, and it was nice to finally see Ava in this environment. But you can kind of tell with the stuff that the way they kind of protected her and not really letting her do a lot. She's still a work in progress. So, the rest of them though, the rest of Schism and Chase U, as solid as ever. We know what the dyad is all about. We hold them to pretty good regard, and I like Andre Chase, and Duke again was pretty much the most. I mean, not to spoiler alert, but he was like the MVP of this match. We'll talk about that later. For his role in it. But I was convinced it was a pretty good opener. I gave it 3.5 stars. I didn't have a problem with it, but I know when we get to Prediction League, I know this probably ate you up a little bit.
Yeah, it really did. And look, first with the match, like you said, excellent point. I didn't mention the fact that we saw Duke put this Schism top on only to turn on the team. I mean, Schism are the Miz of stables, and Duke did get a chance to shine. Glad Tyler got involved, but I wonder if Bake, like me, is still annoyed with Grizzled Young Vets beating Mustache Mountain to become first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. No, he's pretty zen. I'm sure he's fine. I don't know about you as well, but how well Chase U work? Because on paper, this is like a 2-month storyline, and either Andre Chase, Sophia Hale, and Duke Hudson are really giving the best, and the fans are connecting with it. And I don't know how. I don't know why.
Right, it's a good thing. It was something I even as someone like me who has always chuckled at the vignettes when he was cursing people out or whatever. I took a liking to Andre Chase even when he was just jobbing. But that's our point. Like, this was just a jobber type of thing. This was just something. It didn't start with. It didn't seem like it started with a real end goal. So, when you think about that, it's kind of amazing when you think about just how popular they seem to be getting. And again, it is one of those things that it's hard to kind of put into words why that is, because I don't know if it's just we love the banter of the humor between them or whatever, but. Again, I was a guy who was really, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, even before the breakout thing, before we got into 2.0, I liked Andre Chase the little bit that I've seen of him, even though he lost, and I lost a lot. And the same thing goes for Duke Hudson. They had him doing a lot of stupid stuff with the gambling and all that. He always lost, got his hair shaved. We remember that. But I always thought he had a solid foundation. So it's really good to see that, they just had to find the right role for them. And like you said, and like I said, Thea Hale also improving. So, yeah, I give them all the props in the world for making this work and just sticking out. Because sometimes that's what it takes. It's like we talked about with Axiom. Sometimes you get that name, you get told what you're going to be doing, and you're like, this is ridiculous, huh? But the people who don't just think about how ridiculous it is, and they just go and they make it work and they really believe in it, sometimes you can almost get some of the most insane stuff over. I mean, look at AEW with scissoring. We didn't think that was going to be a thing, and it's a huge thing.
Listen to this podcast who have never watched AEW and going, that sounds interesting.
Exactly.
WWE loyalists. Yeah, they're scissoring in AEW. That's why people are watching it.
Yeah, they're scissoring, man. Yeah.
What do you know?
Don't Google it, though. You're going to get a lot of questionable
for the match, for me, 3 quarters, like I said, quite a fun match. And again, to be on the kickoffs was right. Prediction leagues then, after Mania. And I tell you what, we all had manias, I would say, in the end. At this moment in time, of course, we're still very early in the year. WWE Prediction League, Jaxie is on 0 points, but of course, WrestleMania Backlash just around the corner. 3-way tie at the top. Gina, Monty, and I all on 2 points. Monty and I in the lead with 1 point on the AEW. Gina with Jaxie on 0. The bonus league at this moment in time, Jaxie on 9 points. Gina, Monty tied on. I am on 13. Before I give the predictions, Monty, have you got any different strategy this year? Because I feel you've started really hot. I think out of all the events, and not to give any spoilers away to what to happen, but I think for Wrestle Kingdom, I think apart from the Rumble, you've been pretty much on top with most of them.
Pretty much. Yeah. Honestly, the strategy has not changed. It's just more so, and you thought I was joking, but I'm serious. I really hate my year-end predictions. I don't think they're going to get me that many points. I'll be really surprised if they really hook me up. So I just said I have to kill it as good as I have to do the best I can to predict these regular shows, right? So I can at least hopefully have some type of lead going into the year-end, because someone is probably going to, just shoot right by me for those year-end predictions. So that's really my motivation. My motivation is to do as good as I possibly can on these, because I hate my year-end predictions.
Well, this is the thing. If anybody told me Jaxie had done so well in year-end prediction, no one's ever done that on the pod before.
Right, yeah.
It was
that's
like
fair.
The equivalent of like a horror movie. She was chasing me down, and I was tripping up over my lace. That is how it felt. So
that definitely got me a little nervous. Like you said, I hope it's not something that happens on a regular occurrence, but yeah, that had me worried. I'm like,
well, yeah, like I said. But anyway, for this match, Monty went Chase U. The rest of us went Schism. Fucking idiots. So Monty is 1-0 up. Main show, Pretty Deadly delivered a glorious opening for NXT Stand.
And deliver.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly. How good were they here? I would pay to watch this weekly.
Yeah, they're just in their element. Like, it definitely... I know we don't get hosts for weekly shows, but it's like they should just narrate every episode and just let you know what's gonna happen or something. They're that entertaining. I trust me, I'm right there with you. Yes, boy.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Well, on kickoff, we did have a couple of entrances for our first match, which was the women's ladder match. We had Indy come out, Zoe Stark and Gigi had their entrances. And they were playing us for a good one. But anyway, I'll get onto that in a minute. Because
right.
We have ladder match. It's Roxanne Perez, the champion. They didn't strip her of the title in the end. They just gave it back to her. Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, Tiffany Stratton, Tara Valkyrie, and Indy Hartwell. The Prodigy started off strong, running over everyone until Stratton kicked a ladder and on the floor. Dolan smacked everyone with a ladder on her shoulders. Again, she was in the middle of the ring by herself and then decided to put the ladder on her head and wait for people to come in.
Get up, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Come on. She then dodged Stark, who landed on Valkyrie on the ladder. Stark nearly pulled the championship, but Perez dragged her down. Perez almost took it, but Dolan made the save. Rox used her whole weight to bring down Zoe Stark. I don't think I've ever seen that before, hanging on her leg completely. Stratton took some rough bumps, including a spine buster on the ladder to the small back.
What the sound that made, by the way.
That wasn't good. And head scissors taped down to the floor from a press, and the spill of a giant ladder onto the pile of women outside. And they checked on her afterwards, even though no one could be bothered to catch her.
No one catched her.
Gigi Dolan had it in her hand, but wouldn't you know, JC Jane returned to throw her down onto the ladder, and then Indy Hartwell sent Tiffany Stratton down on the floor and got an assist from Dexter Lumis to become the new NXT Women's Champion. What? Indy Hartwell? My God, but I guess she's liked by management. Monty, I don't know. We'll get into it. First off, what were your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I like you said, other than a couple moments where it was, it wasn't that great. I love the ladder play throughout. Like I said, it seemed kind of fluid the way they kind of put things together. There's a lot of stuff that I never really, like you said, considered or seen, or I can remember seeing before. Like you mentioned earlier, it was, most ladder matches are like fast-paced car crashes, but I wouldn't call this one. This is more methodical in my opinion. So it kind of made those big spots shine a little bit more. A lot of those tough bumps sounded off better. The crowd probably would have been losing it more if I thought maybe the fact that it was early in LA, and I know that's not a great excuse, but again, I, as someone who was on the West Coast and know how that time can be and just how different it is, like they wake up completely later than everyone else in the country, that type of stuff. It was a day show, but again, I still thought they did really good. I thought that last bump, like you said, it really looked rough. The one for Stratton onto the floor, she just went right through that. Like whatever arms was out, she went right through it and did right on the floor. It looked so rough, but she was fine. Thank goodness for that. Again, it's kind of funny though. As much as I didn't see it coming, it was a great moment for Indy. Another student of Booker, technically dethroning the other. It's kind of funny. But I did, yeah, right. It's kind of funny how that worked out. Right. But the Dexter Lumis part, as weird as it was to think like that he was just there the entire time, I guess, under the ring or wherever he was. As weird as that is, I guess it fits with him. So I didn't have a problem with it. It was a nice little nod to people who were fans of the way and all of that. People who've been along this journey with Indy a long way, because again, I was about to put her in that category of people like Dakota Kai, even though Dakota Kai is a tag champion. I think we all know, or at least thought she would have at least a reign, in her time in NXT. She spent a long time in NXT and was, didn't really get a lot until the very end. But it's good to see Indy get this moment, even if I don't know if this is the decision I would make, because it's like it. But that's what the ladder match do. The ladder match kind of helps you in this setting, because even though I just remember vividly Stratton beating Indy Hartwell easily the last few times they fought, the ladder match and surviving all of that does give Indy Hartwell some stroke. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how the run will be with her as champion, but the match to get there was pretty fun. I gave it 4.25.
4.25 there. Like I said, with Indy, again, I don't think she's that strong a worker. Not like my pick was, but kind of like Mandy Rose did kind of turn into one. Weird thing to say, I think there's too much mucking around with ladders, I really do at some point. As for other people, Lyra, I obviously saying in her, again, I wouldn't hate her joining Dawn and Alba as like the Witches 3 or some shit. Do you know what I mean? I think quite clever there.
Just change them to the Coven or something.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's why we spitballing ideas, man. There we go. We've got the name there. Rox had to climb all over again. This is the story, but it's a good story for her because she will. Apart from Rox smiling, watching Index at the end.
Yeah.
And didn't it look? I've got a dirty mind. how incredibly rude was it when Dexter did stick his head in to begin with?
Right. No consent whatsoever. We could. I mean, we could assume it was consent, but
Yeah, well,
wasn't any obvious consent there. Yeah, kind of nasty, Dixie. And then Vic, sexy Dixie, perplexing Booker T was hilarious to me. He's a sexy Dixie. What you call him?
yeah, not low to start us off 4.25 predictions. Well, Monty, Gina, and Jaxie all went Roxy. I went Tiffany, which means still Monty 1-0 up. NXT Tag Team Championship next. Gallus, the champs, versus the Creek Brothers versus the Family. And Julius Creek carried Mark and Stacks on his shoulders to set up a Brutus bomb, which Brutus did not hit, but still kind of impressive. You know?
He missed it.
Commentators are like, yeah, but Julius was impressive, even though fucking
Right.
Brutus went flying by. But
grazed him. If he grazed him, he probably barely did that.
Oh, God almighty. Well, the Don
Oh,
nearly got his team to win with a Fisherman Busters Julius and then the bada bing, bada boom to Mark. I really do hate Tony D and Stacks. They fought hard, though. The Creed Brothers and Gallus continued to break up pins. Finally, Joe Coffey arrived to uneven the odds and set up Mark Coffey and Wolfgang to take out the underboss to win.
yeah.
Gallus are still tag team champions, but my favourite thing was Booker not having a fucking clue.
Joe Coffey.
Who?
Vic said it like 3 times. The brother of Mark Coffey, he just would not understand that. He could not get it through his mouth. Like, who is this little guy? I hate to do Joe like that, but he looks so short.
Why is he so small?
But
he used to be taller
I
in
don't know what's
NXT
going
UK.
on.
Like,
Right. Everyone there was short. Was the camera zoomed in more? Like, what the hell was going on? I still don't get that. It's like an illusion or something. But the match though was solid. I didn't have a problem with the triple threat. The only thing I probably could give it is that it probably could have been on like you can imagine this match on a regular NXT instead of just a stand and deliver. Like the best moment of the match to me, my highlight was Brutus missing that Doomsday device outside the ring because he just floated on by a big cannonball.
You just
missed him by a mile.
You want to see a slow motion replay of Brutus just looking at the group as he just flying by. Oh no!
The only thing make it better is like someone like photoshopped or edited like a pool for him to fall in to the side of him. But that's exactly what happened.
The thing is about this match but Gallus had the work cut out here. I mean, Creeds are getting better, but they need talent to work with. My question is, I know Kofi got injured, but why couldn't we have New Day be in this match and extend it to kind of this event as well? We needed more teams, you know?
I agree. Yeah, I really wish that run kind of lasted for to like you said to kind of give us that moment. It probably would have made for definitely a stronger stand and deliver match. But it's kind of like then you have to consider is like. Do you want them to get better? That's the thing. Do you want Stacks and Tony D to get better because they're gonna have to be in this spot at some point. You can't keep protecting them. So I guess that's probably the logic of like, let's just go out there and let them give it their best shot. But the point is, again, overall, I did not have a problem with this. And then again, the finish made the whole stupid vignette at the beginning make more sense to me because as much as I didn't mind it was entertaining. Again, I thought Gallus was way too casual about everyone just wanting a title shot, but it made 100% sense when Joe would be returning, and I like it. I like Gallus is full again, and hopefully this is a sign that Joe will be able to do more of what we came to know of him in NXT UK. He was one of the top guys there, so. I want to see that type of output from him now that he's back. But I gave it 3 3/4.
There you go, 3 3/4 for that. Like I said, you are right about Gallus being better by them together as they are. And I think Wolfgang was telling people Joe was coming back. People just couldn't understand him because of his accent. You know, fucking Joe Coffee come back. And they go, what? You want a coffee? What's wrong with it? Oh, fucking Joe Coffee. Yeah, I come back fucking Saturday.
The funny thing about that is, in America, sometimes to say that they want a cup of coffee, you say you want a cup of Joe. So he's just he's
literally coffee. Yeah. Give the belts to Pretty Deadly so we can move on. This did feel very Rampage at time, but I still give it 3 3/4 as well. Predictions, we all went Gallus, apart from Gina. So at the moment, it's Monty 2, James and Jaxie 1, Gina 0. Our host, Pretty Deadly, dressed Austin Powers-esque, respected Bron by giving him his space in the locker room, which is always good. And then we move on to the NXT North American Championship. Wesley, the champ, versus JD McDonough, versus Dragunov, versus Axiom, versus Dragon Lee. Wes stood in the centre of the ring to start the match, but he gladly steps aside for Dragunov and McDonough to brawl. Probably here. The champ went for a somersault planche from McDonough, who walked away, a la Samoa Joe. Hello, Samoa Joe. As the Necessary Evil was celebrating, Lee laid him out with a super kick. McDonough dived onto Axiom and Dragunov outside, then planted Dragon with a Spanish fly. He caught Wes with the devil within, or the devil inside, will be known. But Lazar stopped the count, grabbing the referee. Everyone then turned on McDonough and laid him out. Dragon caught Wes in the ropes and laid him with a diving footstool. The champ broke up the pinfall by Dragunov on everyone with a diving corkscrew. Axiom caught Wes with a golden ratio mid-cardiac kick. Dragunov really took the win with a deadlift suplex and a running low forearm smash on Axiom, but Lee's met the pinfall to break it up. Everyone fought in this match with all they had, and it was the smallest of margins in which Wesley retained in the end. He caught Dragunov mid-running in the European uppercut with a cardiac kick to win. Monty, these 5 are great in their own way, but fuck me, I'm so smug watching some of these talents, you know.
What got you smug?
Just to know how good, JD and Ilya and people maybe watching for the first time and then going, oh, that's my fair. God,
That's a good point. You know what? I didn't think about it that way because you do kind of have, and I feel the same way, even including Dragon Lee, because he's someone that I've seen on the outside of WWE for so long, put on great matches. So again, to see him in this environment, I've watched him in New Japan. I've seen a little bit of his Mexico work. Seen him in Ring of Honor. The 1 or 2 matches he worked with AEW I watched. So again. Dragon Lee, it was great to see, and I think I always knew he would blend in and mesh really well. But sometimes you never know. I thought Mystico, the original Sin Cara, I thought he was going to blend in well in WWE, and it didn't go as planned. It's right, it didn't go as planned. Right, exactly. So you never know. But again, this all worked out. The pace of this match, like you said, was just insane. And again, looking back, I guess I shouldn't be surprised with the people in it, but all I could do was just sit back and enjoy the fluidity of everything in the ring was just great. Like you said, that the golden ratio that interrupted Wesley's cardiac kick timed absolutely to perfection. The drama was going really good. My favorite element of this match was that it was not clear at all who was going to win this match. Until the end, it really wasn't clear. Dragunov was really on a run, and I thought I was wrong. I was like, damn, I slept on the Dragon, and he had it. But no, Dragunov ended up getting pinned, and I'm not mad at it. Think about it. He got pinned here, and I don't think anyone have a problem with it because the finish was that well done. So I really thought this was fantastic. It was also just so fun to watch, and I went with Wesley going in, even though there was a lot of great talent in this match, because I thought the entire point. I mean, Sean literally let him pick his opponents. I'm like you cannot say that this story is about anyone else when this man literally chose the people he's defending against. So it ended up being great. I gave it 4 3/4.
I pick Big Body Harvey. I'll pick
right,
Hank, our boy Hank. That fella. But the thing about this match is he Dragunov, and I think, why do I like him so much? And then you see him popping his vein in the match due to either
Insane.
getting struck or just like the aggression that little fella's got, like, and JD again being the glue that pulled the match together. And Wesley deserves massive respect for getting over. We spoke about it before, but it's kind of underdog baby face, and even the way he's confident, and the fans are really, really into it. And like he said, Ia gets pinned, but Wesley retains, and we're still really, really happy. I gave that a 4.95. Predictions, Gina went Axiom, Jaxie went Ilya, me and Monty went for Wes. So Monty's on 3, I'm on 2, Jaxie's on 1, Gina on 0. We then get Pretty Deadly with wardrobe change. They run into Trick and Mello, and he is him. They got a scoop. Yes, boy. Anyway, we'll move on. Unsanctioned match. Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. And yes, Johnny Takeover was back, and he told a great story with the Australian. It was kind of near the level of Gargano's best old NXT matches. They battered each other and kept the energy throughout. Walker walked out, streaming live on Instagram, taunting Shawn Michaels at grid position. Loudmouth tried to strike the Rebel Heart with a steel chair during his entrance. Gargano kicked him out of the ring and dived onto him on the announce table. Johnny suplexed Waller onto chairs. Looked like it hurt both men. Grayson powerbombed Johnny through a table. Gargano battled Waller with a kendo stick and planted him with a one final beat for a near fall. Waller low-blowed Rebel Heart and hit a running return cutter for a near fall. Candice LeRae watched closely from ringside with her baby in her hand. Eventually she was like, fuck it. Stranger.
Hold the baby.
Hold him. I don't care who you are. Hold this baby. Kendo stick, Grayson Waller. I mean, Waller's back. If anybody that, when people are like, oh, what's kendo sticks? Like, look at the state of Waller's back and tell me if he was hit or not. Speaking of which, Grayson did hit a great coast to coast, but Johnny Gargano had enough of the loudmouth heel, powerbombing for the announce desk. Grayson hit his finisher, but Johnny hit a low blow, then put a chair on his head and hitting him with another and making him tap out to the Gargano escape. And afterwards, away, nearly all the way, reunited as Gargano, Candice LeRae stood with Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Monty? Because like I said, Johnny Takeover, everything's good with the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's just, I don't know, man. He's in full effect. Johnny Takeover was in full effect. That ending there with the way standing, it did make me, it made me laugh because I was like, it would have been hilarious that if Theory came out there and the whole way just got booed just because Theory showed up. But yeah, it was still cool. This like you said, it was so good, man, and it's just another reminder of just how good Johnny can be, especially in this setting with no rules. And once again, this is what I do. I think this is the best way to do it when you have a guy like Gargano with his reputation, and you have a guy with Waller who's trying to build a reputation. How well did Waller fit? And I think once again he hit it out the park. He's someone that you remember when 2.0 started. I don't think he was nowhere close to Von Wagner hated, but he was definitely someone that I did not want to see all the time. And he's become one of my favorite reasons to watch NXT. And I think it's his progression. It's the quality of his matches that has stuck with me along with a lot of the smack he talks. So this is a good example of why, he's creative. And then the toughness that he showed in this match is very appreciated. So I had to give credit to Waller for, dancing with Gargano really well. And, it didn't feel like Gargano carried him through this. It just felt like they were working well together. The fans actually were, rooting for them both at times. And it was unsanctioned, so I figured Waller would be protected. So the finish was pretty cool to me. I thought it was a war overall. And, I thought Gargano putting him in his place made sense. He went to his house. You rarely get a chance to do that and and not have to give something back for that. And Johnny Takeover strikes again. I really love this. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was just a little bit better than the 5-way. I'm willing to argue with anyone about it though, because I thought the 5-way was really good too. But yeah, Waller and Gargano, man, Johnny Takeover. It's just something about it, man. I don't know why they can't seem to tap into that on Raw or whenever he's on the main roster. Hopefully after the draft or wherever they got him doing next, you can start to get a glimpse into just what makes Gargano special. And I think this match was a perfect reminder of that.
Yeah, excellent. 'Cause this is a weird thing because obviously we're even in different countries. Watching it at different times. And I scored this higher than a 5 and I thought I'm going to get some shit from probably Monty and some emails as well because, like you said, it just felt bigger, and I can't explain it. And I don't know if it's just because of how Johnny Gargano is and what it is.
Yeah.
We should say as well, Grayson Waller has been on top. That was, 18, 16 months ago he took out Johnny Gargano originally. He's been in top matches since his debut. And I would say, he's not what you call like a 5-star performer, but he's delivered on the big stage each time,
right.
And like I said, it's great to have Johnny in NXT. Rebel Heart is a different animal. Fair play to Grayson keeping up with Johnny. And I wouldn't mind, and again, people go, all right, seeing on the main roster, like I said, trying to tap in to maybe Grayson Waller and The Miz. They need to be connected, even if it's The Miz. I mean, Grayson could turn on The Miz, and Miz could be a face. That's how unlikable Grayson is.
Unlikable he is. I agree.
You have those two teaming up, and then you bring Ciampa into it. You can play into that storyline, have DIY versus Miz and Waller, and then obviously have Ciampa caving Johnny Gargano's skull. But that's not for
the old time's sake.
Yeah, you wouldn't forget. This is how good it was. The crowd started cheering Grayson, and that's
right
when they start doing that.
That's not in Florida. That's LA.
Yeah, there's people that actually started liking him, and that's because of the hits. Some of the kendo sticks and everything else, and continuing. So it's a 5 for me as well. Predictions: Jackson and Gina went for Grayson. Me and Monty went for Johnny. So at the moment, Monty's on 4, I'm on 3, Jaxie's on 1, Gina on 0. Pretty Deadly with an exclusive and another outfit. They interrupt pre-coitus between Tony D and Stax. PD have beaten Gallus and don't mind beating up Lady and the Tramp. Anyway, actually, no. Speaking of women, NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, Fallon Henley and Kiana James versus Fire and Dawn. Have we seen Fire and Dawn's tag entrance? Because I really liked it. Again, it's
I think this is the first time. It's definitely the first time they did it like that. If they have, I don't know if they've just been a commercial break thing or something. I don't know why, but that was definitely the first time I've seen their entrance.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. Fire dived at the champions before the bell. James knocked Henley out of the way to take the fall alone. Henley sent Dawn into Fire on the top rope and hit a springboard blockbuster for a near fall. Fire and Dawn almost took the win off a combination Gory Bomb finisher. The champions almost retained off a powerbomb dropkick finisher, but Kiana James showed her loyalty to Fallon Henley by protecting her, but still relied too much on cheap tricks. When Josh Briggs stopped Brooks Jensen from helping James, she fell to a senton bomb backbreaker finisher. And your new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. And can I say, please, can this be the start of something? We've had too many I don't want to say false dawns because of Isla, but this is a team now.
Yeah.
We need to build a division. Anyway, Monty, what were your thoughts on this matchup? And we were right about Dawn and Fire. Again, this is me saying to you for the next couple of matches how right you are.
Right. Yeah. Again, it feels good to kind of see, have a little foresight, see the forest for the trees, and understand what was going on there. Honestly, it was just a hunch. They just the way their characters actually seemed to have a lot in common, even though they were still different enough for them to have a feud. So to see them what they are now, and to see the finished product and them to be crowned, it I do kind of pat myself on the back a little bit there, but I mean, honestly, the tag champs were bickering down the ramp in their issue. So I was like, how was I supposed to believe they had a chance? But once the match started, it did turn to a solid match, and James and Henley didn't look too bad in there. But the more experienced team and the better team, the more together team did prevail the way I thought. I like the finish. I love their finisher with the whole incorporate. As a matter of fact, I love the move where they kind of do Kaylee Ray's gory bomb, and I love the move that allows the finisher they use with the swanton bomb. I love it. Again, just They're made for each other.
It feels like they've come up. Yeah, they've literally gone. Oh, let's give like 5 finishes that we can do together. Because like you said, even like the crossbow into like the dive off the top and stuff. Like that.
It's just that's really really cool. So I love it. You can tell they put some thought into it, and I agree 100%. It's time to build a division around a team. I saw some interesting comments about the main roster's tag title that Corey Graves pointed out, saying that they just never really had a legit run or caught steam. And he's not necessarily, like, if you think about the history of that belt, those tag belts with the women, it hasn't really ever had a division or much steam around it. So I don't want them, they shouldn't continue that trend with the NXT tag belts. But when you look at their history, besides Toxic Attraction's run, and even then we can argue that it didn't have much of a division. So, I think it's time to finally start to deepen and starting to use more bodies to flesh out a tag division, and build around these champions. And I expected all that drama. I'm glad it did cost the former champs. So I didn't have a problem with the result, even though I did kind of, again, the kind of will they, won't they cheat type of thing. It's like, do you want to keep your belts or not? That's the one thing about it. It's like, as much as I understand doing it right, it do kind of make you look stupid for fighting so hard to follow the rules to the point to where you lose the match. But it's fine.
The thing is, as well, it's very similar to like we said, Valentina Feroz with the kind of brass knuckles.
Yeah.
And they're gone, oh, wait, better stop that now because we're doing it here.
Right.
And also, obviously, there's only one other tag team, I think, now with Katana and Chance are the only left in NXT. And we know Dawn won't turn on fire until they lose the tag belts. So that's how they get rid of teams.
Right.
See, they just think every team's fit. Speaking of Isla Dawn, her outfit showed a lot. And I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah.
But I was just like...
No, it wasn't.
No, yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You're on the right. You're on the right money. And
yeah.
Yeah, you're right on it.
I remember.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. I remember.
It's a little cheeky.
Yeah, literally. I remember used to seeing her box full of tricks back in the day on NXT UK. So you never know what could happen. And speaking of Dawn, it is her first taste of gold in WWE.
Nice.
Not bad. Out of 5. What did you score that, Monty? Sorry.
Let's see. I think I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah, same as me there. I think as I come, I don't know of it or I've heard it, but like you said, the destination was more important than the journey in that matchup. Yeah. So predictions. Jaxie went faces. The rest went NXT UK, which means Monty's on 5. I'm on 4. Jaxie and Gina on 1. As we head into the main event, the youngest Mania weekend main event. I suppose that's good. And a good promo video as well for NXT Championship. Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes. Trick put over him during his entrance, while jerseys were shown on the screen for many of the men he defeated NXT North American champion. This was really, again, Melo's just with his entrances, it's his confidence, it's just the way he carries himself. And again, this is something we've not discussed. What do you think of it, like the nickname him? Because for me, again, I don't want to be this guy, but if it's someone calling himself him, I would expect him to be called like Hunter, Isaac, Mateo, and then shorten it to him. But is it just me just being picky? Because, again, it's not too bad. But Melo don't.
No, he don't. And I think the thing is like, all right, this is what I'm going to say. It's not you necessarily being picky. It's more so you being old. Because that's just it's like, that's just a popular thing. Like, it's something that's become popular over the last few years. That, a lot of times, I don't know if it's just in African American culture or whatever it is. I don't know. It's probably started with us because we pretty much start everything if you let us tell it. So, like I said, the thing when it comes to that is like, it's like he's him. He's that guy. It's more so the phrasing of it. And I think that's kind of the origins of it. It's more so, more so just like a youthful thing. It's something that a lot of the kids are saying, James. So I think I'll leave it at that.
No. That's well peak then. Yeah, like see, I'm
Yeah, it's like on fleek or whatever that people were saying.
Man. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Little slang.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I was good to know how old I am. Trick pulled Mello off the shoulders of Breaker, and the referee sent him to the back. And we know a referee sending someone to the back at WrestleMania weekend, they will mean they will stay and the back. Him went for nothing but net, but Breaker ducked. Mello kicked him out of the ring. When Mello went for a dive again, he got planted where a Frankensteiner. Breaker speared Mello into the referee and locked in the Steiner McKayla, causing a tap out that the ref didn't see. Trick blasted the former champ with a championship. Wait a minute, Trick was banned from ringside. Bron Breakker and then Hayes. They went for it, but it took a save from Trick to seal it. Mello reversed a military press into a double knee facebuster to set up nothing but net to become the new NXT champion. Afterwards, the former NXT champ put over Mello and raised his hand as the new champion. What do you think of this match? And again, why couldn't Mello beat him clean? Eh? Why couldn't he do that?
See, and that's my deduction. That was the biggest thing that took away from this for me. Like I said, something I was looking forward to. The two biggest stars of this era of NXT, one-on-one, the NXT's biggest show, WWE's biggest weekend. So everything about this just is made for, like what you just mentioned, a clean crowning of a new era. And, maybe this was a little tease for something that was coming Sunday when it comes to that whole, returning after you've been kicked out type of thing. But, I before we get to the finish, I did love the showcase of just how it felt like they were kind of showcasing how well-rounded both guys are as athletes. Braun speed at times, doing the Frankensteiner, Mello, showing why he's the self-proclaimed A-champ and, just being what I like most about Mello is his consistency. And I think this was another consistent performance. And, that ref bump really brought some drama to the match because it was to me, because I think most of us felt like this was Mello's moment, but that kind of put it, how is this going to play out? But, with Trick Williams, again, I love Shaw Samuels, so Trick kind of reminds me of him with this corner man tactics here. I didn't mind it at the time, but at the same time, thinking back and just looking at it, it's like this was not the moment for that. I think this should have been the one time that Mello, if it's fine when Mello's trying to retain a belt, having Trick do something every now and then, but they've kind of went to this well a lot when it comes to Mello's matches. And I was hoping that this would be the one guy that he beat with no questions asked when it comes to, especially with the I'm him catchphrase and with everything Mello is saying about taking the spot from Braun Breaker or taking the top spot in NXT. It would have meant more if he could have did it completely clean. But at the end, like you said, sometimes the destination of Mello being champ is enjoyable enough. And but I will add this too. I did not like Breaker holding up Mello's hand, even if you try to phrase it like a passing of the torch, because let's not like how he didn't forget that fast that he had a belt to the back of his head, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he forgot Trick did that fast. So, but it was a great visual. I think at least the visual of having Braun passing the belt to Mello to finish the show. So I didn't mind that, but it definitely took away from what I thought this match could be. I still ended up giving it 4.5 because I was really into it, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping, and I thought some of that overbooking. I think they overbooked it a little bit, kind of hurt it.
Yeah, because the thing is, there was no problem with Braun losing clean and saying, like, look, even afterwards, like, we could face each other 100 times. I'll beat you 99 times. That was just once. That was the day.
Right.
I was
like he loses nothing.
Ready. No, exactly. The fans don't mind, even if it's the kind of like going for a spear and Mello turn it into a pin, or something just like that of outsmarting Braun. Just to have a little say. I know it won't matter. Hopefully, in a few months' time, after Mello's reign starts kicking off, and the crowd were into it.
Yeah.
But this match felt a bit like they were facing for the first time. You know, maybe not going out
Right.
of kind of first gear because not showing where each of them was. And the weird thing as well is watching this after Mania and then seeing that they did the Cena Theory finish and the Roman Cody finish all in this match.
Together, right? Right. It's like, oh, wow.
Wow, they did that. Yes. No, wow. I mean, what is the point of sending someone to the back now? You know, it's just
right. What is the like? What other than to pop the crowd? Like, what does it do anymore? And also another thing too, it makes me wonder too. And I don't want this. I'm adamant. Like, I don't care. I know Trick Williams has improved, but I'm not ready for them to split them up. But that also Trick's forced involvement just feels like you're planting seeds for, a future where Trick and Melo may not be together. And I'm just saying personally, I can see it. Like, it makes sense. Like, Trick can always say, not only did I keep you North American champion, I'm the reason why you're the champ. I can see that. But it's just, I think they should take their time, and I don't want to go there yet. So hopefully they're nowhere near that. But I'm just saying that's what forcing Trick to be involved feels like you're doing it for, Yeah,
it's that the same. Like you said, the similarities between that and what we've seen with Solo at this moment in time on the main roster with Roman.
Right.
We're kind of going there as well. I'll give it 4.25. Like I said, not a bad main event. Predictions: Jaxie went Bron. The rest Hayes. So final scores: Monty, you do win NXT Takeover Stand.
And deliver.
On 6.
I delivered.
You did deliver. It was only one match missing out, and that was Indy Hartwell, and no one would have got that. I don't care who you are.
Right.
No one would have.
I was going to be so mad. That's the one thing I was safe on. When I watched the results, and I was like, please don't tell me Gina or Jesse just gets Indy Hartwell. I was like, because I thought, no way James thought that, because he watches the show, so he knows. So.
Yeah. I went definitely shouting there. But well done, Monty. Like I said, that is now, I think, your first, maybe first, probably your second, but NXT win of the year. You've got New Japan, you've had AEW, so you've literally ticked all the boxes. So you're on fire at the moment, I will say.
And the thing is, if anyone knew just how perplexing and just like screwed up my life right now, I'm glad my predictions make it seem like I'm on top of my shit. But I'm telling you guys, I'm not. But this is great, man. All I can do is take a bow. I was happy it worked out in my favor.
Well, the bonus league at this moment now looks like this. Jaxie on 9, Gina on 11, Monty now on 12, just 1 point behind me on 13. Our next predictions are Backlash. So, Monty, technically, if you were to get a perfect score on Backlash, you could be leading all 3 prediction leagues, which is pretty impressive. Match of the night, well, I think seeing Johnny wrestling, competing at Johnny Takeover, is good enough. MVP of the night, Monty, who's your MVP?
Yeah, I think overall, I just gave 2 people who I think probably will never forget this. It's Indy for surprising me. I know she'll never forget this moment. So I definitely gave her MVP. So, because again, she was one of those people that I was sure probably was never going to be NXT champion. So to see that and have that moment, great for her. And I thought Melo for having his crowning achievement. I'll stick with that, even though you can put anyone from the 5-way.
Yeah, I was going to say JD for kind of being the glue that holds it together, and Grayson Waller as well, because, again, it's one of these phrases that WWF often overused, but he actually didn't lose anything from defeat in this matchup.
At all.
No.
As the unsanctioned match stipulation helped him, but he didn't need it.
yeah. Like I said, we will talk about that in a minute. Rating out of 10 then for Takeover.
I think overall, I thought it ended up being a really strong show. I gave it 8.25. I think would be my rating to give it. I thought most of the stuff. I think we ended up with 4 really, really good matches and 3 solid to okay matches. So, and I can't be mad at it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I'll give it 8.5. Will I rewatch it? I might do it at some point, just to see, kind of like I said, the ladder match again, and Johnny Gargano. But very, very interesting. But that was NXT Stand.
And deliver.
So a little bit of news. Well, not really news anymore, but it might be. Who knows in this crazy world? Grizzled Young Vets, as we know, Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler have apparently asked and got their release requested to leave WWE, or so we thought a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
They are now getting a NXT Tag Team title shot on our next update, which will be very interesting to see how it plays out. But what is this? Is this just squeaky wheel gets the oil? Phrases, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. I got you. Honestly, I don't know. I'm really. I think this. What happens in this tag match? I know it's kind of like a cop out. Really can help me figure out where this went, because if at first it felt like this is going to be kind of like a Roderick Strong thing, and we were probably not going to see the dyad for a while. Especially when the entire schism, I think, missed the show right after Stand and Deliver, so I really wasn't sure. But like you said, knowing what we know now, if they end up somehow, beating Gallus, which I don't know, it's probably a stretch. Maybe, like you said, maybe complain and say they want to leave and they get rewarded. It's rare that works out, but if that was to happen, it would definitely make me feel like this was like something they promised them to get them to want to come back. I don't know. It's very, very confusing. Honestly, though, it's one of those things that I can't understand. When you think about all those people we talked about in NXT UK, we were talking about how a lot of those came over to NXT and they were intact. You know what I'm saying? They were the same. They're literally watching all their coworkers come in with the same names, slight subtle changes to their character. And they are completely different from the Grizzled Young Vets. So, when you think about it, it actually makes sense.
Yeah. As I said, Tyler Bate going, "Oh, they've changed my entrance theme. Isn't it annoying?" And Zach Gibson's there.
And the dyad is like,
shaven, with
sure.
an eye. And going, "I can't even talk to you. I'm not allowed." Mike,
I'm in a cult, Tyler.
Exactly, yeah. That's an excellent point, Monty. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see what happens. There's no doubt Grizzled Young Vets tag team, so we'll just have to see what the future holds. April 4th, so we've got 2 NXTs to round up our update. April 4th, and Indy Hartwell talked about her love for the fans. The reason winning the NXT Women's title meant so much to her. She said Rox would get the first shot before Zoe Stark interrupted. This wasn't great. Pretty Deadly, yes boy, beat the family. Pretty Deadly showed him what it's like to be an elite tag team. Go fuck yourself. Dijak beat Odyssey Jones. After a dominant win, Dijak warned the NXT locker room he was back and angry. Speaking of angry, Joe Coffey promised to add gold to Gallus, but first he was going to pick some fights to establish the dominance of the group. We had Dragon Lee versus Nathan Fraser, but wouldn't you know, Noam Dar arrived with the NXT Heritage Cup. We've been wondering, Monty,
yes, boy,
for what we've like months. Where the fuck has Noam Dar been? But he showed up and telling both to fight for his amusement and maybe decide which one was worthy of a match with him. Speaking of the match, the two showed each other respect and went back and forth until Dragon put the match away with a running knee strike. I mean, the speed on show was great between Dragon Lee and Nathan Fraser, but what a great treat it is to see Noam Dar back, What a dafty.
Right. Exactly. All the dafties are very, 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 and this particular dafty right here was very, very delighted to see Noam Dar on our television screen. Like you said, months away. He says he was negotiating. I hope they gave him whatever he wanted because he deserves the world. That's my guy, the Supernova. So happy to see him back. And again, the thing that even made me happier is that he was not only just back, he was back, and it seems like he has a direction. This isn't like Stevie Turner who they brought back to live stream, and I have no clue what the hell she did. What the hell happened to Stevie? But at least they brought him back with a plan because he brought the Heritage Cup, and he coined it himself by calling it the NXT Heritage Cup. Naming it. So he gets to choose his opponent at some point. I cannot wait to see what they do with Noam Dar, and hopefully we can have our own nice Heritage Cup division. It's more. They took everything else from NXT UK. Why not take the cup and put these guys to work? I can't wait to see what we can, because I'm just already theorizing. A lot of the matches, the encounters, Tyler Bate. We can even have Dragunov in this format because he's not the champion now. Anymore if you wanted to. It's so many just great clashes that I can see being had, and I just hope Noam Dar is in the center of it.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt. And the recent NXT as well, talking about, how he's going to take everybody out, introducing, like I said, the Heritage Cup. We are going to have those type of matches, and it's matches that we loved on NXT UK because they were so different. Like I said, 6 3-minute rounds, 2 falls to win. Usually ended 2-1, but, you'll get used to it. But you even got the kind of, like you said, the talent that NXT have got. Mark Coffey might be saying to himself, "Oh, Dar, you're back now. Remember what happened kind of last time?"
Right.
Very, very interesting, and it's great to see now Dar back because we're not usually this lucky, Monty. We'll lose a wrestler, and then that'll be it. We might see him on Rampage,
right.
Or something like this, and that'll be that. But Dar's back.
Yeah, exactly. I was so happy. Again, when a lot of those releases were going on, I was just like, oh man, I haven't heard Noam Dar. I have not heard anything about Noam. Haven't heard anything. So I was just holding out hope that everything would work out, and here we are. So I can't wait to see what he does, with this era of NXT.
I cannot wait for the Scottish Supernova to come back to action. NXT Women's Championship up next. Indy Hartwell versus Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark got Indy back in the ring. The champion reversed the pin into a backside for 3. Afterwards, Tiffany Stratton came out to challenge Hartwell, but Cora Jade returned to lay out Indy wrestling and stared down her own claim for the title. So we are getting a few. I know we had Cora Jade coming back. That enhances the women's division as well because we know she can work in a weird way.
Right. And they seem to have they have a track record of already giving her narratives to build. So the fact that she can tell a story too helps, because again, I think sometimes that kind of hurts the women's division as they have a section of their division who you can tell has experience working and telling stories, and then you have another section where it's just they're just trying to get reps. So again, I have no problem with this. The only thing that kind of drew me off with this was like the conspicuous by her absence was Roxy. I kind of wanted her to also be there, but whatever, again, very, very veiled in what's going on. She had to go sulk away, is what they claim, or what the heels were claiming. So again, I wish I had clarification for why, but it's fine. It all worked out, with the heels. Another thing too to note: Indy Hartwell, new champion, and did not win convincingly at all.
It's not a long reign, is it?
Yes, it really makes you wonder. Is this a transition, or will this actually be a reign? I don't know, man. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, very, very good point there. It'll be interesting to see what happens with kind of everyone involved as well. Andre Chase promised Duke Hudson MVP award celebration next week. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn celebrated NXT Women's Tag Team Championship win in a private dark room before warning Kiana James and Fallon Henry that would finish them off soon. What a party, eh? Who wouldn't want to be there? Ivy Nile beat Tatum Paxley in a kind of throwaway match. And then the NXT North American Championship, Wesley versus Axiom. After surviving multiple counters from Axiom, Wesley had to duck a golden ratio for hitting the cardiac kick to get a win. I would watch these guys hour. You know that. Like Wesley and Axiom, they just
right.
Why they work so well. And Axiom Man is just Axiom Man is just so good at what he does. He became the most over NXT superstar. And I would mention this earlier. I said when Scripps tried to sneak attack him and Axiom hit him with a golden ratio, the pop for Axiom was off the charts. I mean, this man is can't speak English. He's forced to wear a mask, and yet he's getting some of the biggest reactions in NXT just from being great, you know?
Right. Just from his work. Like, that's what I think. That's what I think is the most impressive thing about it. It's not, they haven't latched him on to any comedy gimmick. It isn't anything about, like, he they haven't brought him out of his comfort zone. He is literally getting over with his work, his timing, the athleticism, like you mentioned. And again, the execution of that spot and all of that, when scripts popped up and the way it worked out, it was just beautiful. The way it all played out. He definitely deserved that ovation. And again, I just want to mention this. I don't know why he hates Axiom or whatever, but can you look worse than Scripps? Like, I thought his gear looked bad, but like it's just, I don't know. It's hard to take you again after that, but it was great for Axiom though. It worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, no, but great Axiom. Yeah, even though we lost, got to cheering as hard as they possibly can. Speaking of fans cheering, they were cheering for Carmelo Hayes' championship celebration. He said he respected Bron Breakker and called him out. The two showed each other mutual respect. I thought this was going to go way of Tony D and Stacks at one point because it was a bit too much, wasn't it? But don't worry, because the former title holder blasted a new clothesline and a spear, and the crowd showed their fickle nature by chanting one more time after Breakker laid out Mello. Despite cheering him champion. Did the same to Cody. Fuck you, fans.
Right. I hate that NXT crowd. I tell you all the time. You cannot trust or put your faith in any reaction they give. Because I explained that to me just a few weeks ago. You wouldn't even let Bron Breakker talk. You would get hitting him with the John Cena Bron Breakker sucks chant. That same audience, a lot of those same people, but when he turns and he does that to Mello, immediately now it's one more time. Even though you guys keep continuing with the Mello chant all throughout the end of Bron Breakker's face run, I did not mind it. The execution of the turn was really, really good, and I don't mind seeing this side of Bron, or at least trying to give it a chance, because we got a chance to see what he's like as an unstoppable force babyface. So giving him a little time to develop a character or a heel persona, I have no problem with seeing that. Even though I agree with you, the thing that what happened here is the reason why I didn't too much care for him passing the torch to Mello. Because again, it's like, why didn't you do that then? Like, seriously, like I can understand it, but it's just like, you just could have laid him out then, and I guess you would have. Of course, you want Mello to have that moment. Of course, that's why. But still, it's just it kind of, that delayed reaction to it was kind of confusing. But it all worked out in the end. I have no problem with Bron. I want to see how this looks with him as the dominant bad guy. Let's see. It's kind of like with Cora Jade. Cora Jade, you saw what she was like as a babyface. Now you're getting a chance to see, so far with her heel work since turning on Roxy, you've gotten a chance to see that side of her. I think now it's time for Bron Breakker to get his opportunity on the bad side, I guess. So I have no problem with it. But again, it did kind of make them fans look really bad.
Yeah. Well, no, this is the saying. And the thing about the heel turn as well is an excellent point, because people might say, well, heel turn, anybody can get over doing that. Look at Hit Row, Look at other individuals that kind of don't have that either aggressive or just kind of unlikable kind of ability. Like even Stone Cold later on was just too over as a face to ever kind of go heel, and I'm sure there's more recent ones than that, but anyone's kind of spring to mind, like. Anyway, last NXT April 11th, Carmelo Hayes offered Bron Breakker a spot in the number one contendership Fatal 4-Way. Why are you being so nice, Mello? Why are you being so nice?
Yeah, what happened? Like, he completely flipped when he get the titles. Like,
so bland.
He's just so sweet. Like, what the
hell? He was interrupted by Dragon Lee, and that was followed by JD McDonough, with both men wanting their respect. Grayson Waller arrived to announce he was the third man, and actually got quite a nice pop. The segment included the announcement of spring breaking in 2 weeks, of course on our next update next month, where the number one contendership where number one contender faces Mello. Speaking of titles, NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, Dawn and Fire versus Kiana James and Fallon. Well, this match was about Jensen. And arriving in a van during the match and marching to the ring, he tried to get Henley to use James's bag on Dawn, but when she refused, he pushed down Briggs. The champs retained, but there's nothing like making the Women's Championship focus on the men, because they don't get enough breaks.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Just what we needed. More Briggs and Jason. Arguing. And well, by the way, we have a term. It's the opposite of pimp over here. Man, what a simp. What a simp. That's all I got to say about it. Because, again, his whole reaction to her cheating was just horrible. Like I said, I cannot wait until this soap opera is over. Can we just, whatever they're going to do, if they're going to break Briggs and Jensen up, they're going to split down the middle, go ahead. Fallon go with, if Fallon want to go with Briggs, cool. Jensen, go with the other girl, whatever. I don't care. Let's just get it over with and let's move on, please.
Yeah, we will move on. We will. There's nothing else to add to that. Andre Chase presented the MVP trophy to Duke Hudson, who talked himself up while thanking the Professor and Thea Hale. Bron Breakker interrupted to offer the full spot in the Fatal 4-Way to the MVP because he said it was a curse, the NXT Championship. Yeah, damn cursing me, giving me money and putting me in main events of shows. Grrr. Yeah.
What a curse! No, I thought about this, and I know we haven't mentioned it because I don't want to give this more attention than it already has got. But my wife did bring up a good point of saying that maybe he means it's curse because it's right on a big title defense. His father screwed up the pooch and just did what he did, and maybe that's part of the curse. I don't know where this curse came from, but whatever gets him out of the title.
Hey, anybody that wants to use the catchphrase "I've got the dog inside me," or whatever he wants to use, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he speared Chase and then broke the Chase U flag as Duke picked to save his trophy instead of Chase. I guess he was Chase me instead of Chase you. Took that off Vic. Noam Dar talked himself up, as well as the Heritage Cup and vignette. Gigi Jolin explained that she returned to her former home. You want to see a shithole? Come to mine. All right, Gigi, let's not compare, mate, all right?
I'll show you some blight.
Exactly. You want to see some fucking... I'm still here. NXT Anonymous called Tony D and Shannon Stacks Lorenzo attacking Pretty Deadly in the parking lot with a crowbar. How dare they? When will Shawn Michaels do something?
Faces.
Yeah, attacking
the baby faces.
Oh my god. Bastards. Eddie Thorpe versus Javier Barnell. Big Body Harvey not featured a lot, but I think makes the most of his time. Eddie won with Damon Kemp doing the old watching on. So we know that is his next opponent.
Forgot about Damon.
Yeah, he just pops up every 6 weeks.
Hey, Damon.
It's a contract.
Right. Not to see you again.
Must be used every 2 months. Just in the room. We then had Tiffany Stratton versus Sarah Ruka. I mean, great athletes, but this was very cookie cutter, all right? Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
They were from the same place.
And they were getting tired. Like, they had some good moments, but you can tell this is about the longest soul or the longest they've been in the ring. Because they were getting tired the longer it went.
Yeah, well, Stratton got the win here, and that maybe she should have got at TakeOver. The Creed brothers called out Gallus in an interview with Mackenzie Mitchell. Stratton ran up to Mitchell in an interview and demanded the number 1 contendership. Scripps declared he was at Axiom's head, where Axiom's foot was in Scripps' head last week. So I suppose he has got one over. What the fuck is that? Scripps is like, I've got you now. I have you now. What the fuck?
Oh my goodness.
The
blow-off match is going to be like 5 seconds.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just a kick.
The thing is, Scripps going, I know who you are. You're pretending to be someone else. What, and you're not, dickhead? Like,
right. What are you talking about? Reginald. Do I need to call you Reginald?
fucking hell. Cora Jade ran down the women's division and also gave a promo a bit like CM Punk and AJ Lee from what we heard on the internet from Rox. And so start to Tiffany Stratton and Indy Hartwell. Lyra Valkyrie warned Jade she would never allow her to be NXT Women's Champion and kicked her out of the ring. Valkyrie's exact threat to Jade was, if you go to the NXT Women's title, I will rip your eyes out.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's
very personal.
Yeah. Not going to go near her. I don't want any trouble.
Right.
Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey challenged Wesley to an interview, and of course the North American champion happily accepted. In sadder news, Mr. Stone and Von Wagner are no more. I joke, of course. Aya Dragunov, not Wagner out. I tell you what, Aya, that running forearm, it doesn't matter. It looks like it's going to hurt. And then the Torpedo Moscow to win the match. Dijak arrived afterwards, and I'm not that old, Monty, because he was right out of wrestling, saying, I don't like you, and I'm going to fight. And the Tsar just tried his best to kind of, yeah, we're all right.
Yeah, you like, oh, yeah. He said some stupid stuff like, you said pain make you feel alive. Well, I'm going to make you immortal. Yeah. I was like, that's a good thing, Dijak. Shut up.
That's good. That's good. I like it, yeah.
Whatever. The match will bump. That should be great. Whenever Dijak talks, you just gotta let it go. But the match, they're gonna kill it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Speaking of killing it, Joe Coffey made his return to action, beating Tank Ledger. I don't know if I know that Tank Ledger.
Yeah.
Tank Heath Ledger.
Tank and Hank will definitely be teams.
And why are they all looking like fucking Hugh Morris now? You know what I mean? Like, why are they all built him up? Like,
that's exactly what he looked like. That's a great shout. Hugh Morris mixed with Joe Coffey.
With Zack Ryder trunks. Like, when are the trunks not going to work? Anyway.
And then, by the way, the one long sleeve, one short sleeve. Yeah. I know you got a tattoo on your leg, but come on, man. Come on.
If Zack Ryder can get that over, then I don't think Tank Ledger will, but we never know. A brawl broke out in the Bell involving Gallus, the Creed brothers, and the Dyad. Then we see Tony D and challenge Stax Lorenzo, greeted Roxanne Perez in their return backstage. Make your minds up. Are you heels? Attacking people still? Or you? Hi, Rox. He's like, yo, Rox, how you doing, man? You out, man? Hey,
that's what made me realize they were supposed to be the baby faces. Because like they're talking to Roxy.
Hey, baby, how's it going? You know, it's like, what the fucking hell? So he challenged Perez, pretty deadly low, laid out the family. You deserve it. Yes, boy.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about.
By the way,
shit.
Yeah. No, they look very vicious here, too, though. Like, that was a different side right there in the beatdown. That's what I love. Like, they jumped right back to the other side from funny straight to, no, you guys jumped. You want to jump us? You want to jump us? I loved it. I loved it.
That's what I'm saying. With all this shit, they've gone through the update, and just like that, they're a legitimate threat again, just with that beat down. Is a dish best served cold. Anyway, the main event was number one contendership Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough versus Grayson Waller versus Duke Hudson. The action was wild from the start. Dragon Lee wiped out JD McDonough and hit an impressive powerbomb on Duke Hudson, but Grayson Waller caught him with a return cutter to steal the pin on the Chase U MVP. So it means that spring breaking, it will be Grayson Waller, and we see Kamala Hayes confronting the number one contender to end the show versus Hayes. So that is it. I mean, first of all, what do you think of the main event? Because again, you put JD and Dragon Lee in a match, and it seems to just turn into a banger.
Right. Yeah, like you just add them to any formula because they even had. Like, Duke is solid, but, like, he was wrestling out of his mind for this match, you know? So, like, yeah, I agree. I don't know what it is about them that brings the best out of everyone, but they really carried and helped, bring this main event over the top. Again, Dragon Lee, top caliber of talent in the world, and showed why with his mix of speed, striking, and strength. And then you have, again, someone like JD, always reliable. going to bump his ass off not only for the people around him, but he's also going to be very, very, so he's sneaky athletic himself, but he's also going to be very, very vicious. And he brings something that I think that's another thing. JD has become in NXT like a standard bearer for like a big match. He seems like whenever he's involved, something is going on, whether he's either around the title or it's some type of feud that he's blowing off. It's a big deal. So I think that's something that they've done a good job of kind of putting JD in that role of again, because he's another guy who's losing a bit, but I don't think it takes away from his believability at all. And then Waller winning the way he win again is perfect. Every time he wins like that, he makes me talk about how stupid his setup for his finisher is. He make it look bad because he can just pop in and surprise you like he did here for the win. And I like him being next for Melo. I don't have a problem with it, even though I can argue that it may be a little too soon. You don't want part of me would have liked Waller to kind of get to not be his first challenge, but it's not a bad thing though. I think they'll do fine. And I really didn't have a problem with the way how this everything played out there at the end. I thought it really ended up being a very, very great main event, and they've been doing good in NXT with building up, these main events. Even if the show for the most part can give you some forgettable stuff, they usually have a pretty strong main event to finish out the show, and I think this is right in that same vein.
Yeah, I completely agree. And another thing as well that we always like with NXT is that we know, because obviously NXT Battleground will be the next premium live event, as it was. That's going to be in May. We'll have Spring Breaking as well coming up, so we can follow that. So it'll be interesting times. And also, I think it'll be interesting times, because like I said, with NXT, I mean, I'll get your overall thoughts on NXT this past 5 weeks, but for me, it's always kind of development, and I'm fighting that with kind of like the stuff that I don't like, but with NXT UK and the talent that's kind of been integrated into it now, and we're seeing it more and more, where it means tag team champions, Heritage Cup, what the kind of North American title has been surrounded by the kind of NXT UK guys. And also, another thing I think, and it's going to change NXT a lot, is the draft coming up, because they've announced the draft happening at the end of this month. So will we then see people like Bron Breakker, Grayson Waller, even Pretty Deadly, because we have talked privately about this, maybe make the move up? Will that offer more opportunity for more, maybe either former NXT UK talent or other guys to come in? We talk about Eddie Thorpe, maybe he could have. He was asked, what does he want to be? What does he want to do at Battleground? He wants to be in the main event. So will this give a chance as well? To kind of, will this give other people a chance? And what are your overall thoughts on NXT this past month, and as we look towards the future?
Yeah, man. Overall, I think again, I can reassess after the draft, but overall, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of new people still, or like not necessarily new faces, but some of them are going to be new, and some of them are going to be faces that kind of have shied away. Because like you mentioned, when NXT UK came over, a lot of talent who we were starting to see a lot of talent that we saw obviously needed a little bit more work and all that. In the 2.0 era, we saw a lot of those people kind of fade away and not be mentioned as much. So I'm expecting one or two, maybe someone like a Tyler Bate to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Because again, as much as I love Tyler, it's like he already he couldn't topple Braun. Now maybe you could I wouldn't mind Bate and Melo, but Bate and Melo has happened not for the title, and it was great, and we've already kind of been down that road. So again, Bate feels like someone who kind of might be on his way to the main roster if that's what they're into. You can even make the argument for JD, like we mentioned earlier, that he could be in that spot. Dragunov, obviously, again, with his history with guys like Gunther and just what he brings to the table. He's one of those guys that's in NXT, but he does not have to become NXT champion to be believable on the main roster. But, we'll see. And then you just, not only that, you have, and like you mentioned, Waller and all that great talent. And, we haven't seen, I know Wendy was out of the way, but there's a lot of other faces, like even like the Last Legends some of these NXT UK.
Who?
Right. I even mentioned her. But we haven't seen her in forever, right?
But I'm pointing that out. Yeah, no, right. Yeah.
But I'm pointing that out to say that maybe some of those people that we haven't seen in a while could be what we need to flesh out a tag division. I honestly believe Lash Legend in a tag climate could work for her because you get to protect her. Put her with a veteran who can carry a lot of the work.
Can't be any worse.
Like, I just think it would help, right? Or it could just like she could screw that up, and then you just like, you know what? I'm all out of options.
You're done.
But right, you're done. But again, I think we will see some faces that we haven't seen before step back up and kind of like re-debut, and then we may see a lot of the people that are kind of established pillars of NXT now. Some of those people could be on the main roster. So a lot of things is up in the air, but I do like where they're going creatively because for the most part, other than some of the drama like around the women's tag titles, like I wish we spent more time building a tag division instead of doing the soap opera stuff. That I think like you mentioned, you have that kind of blend of NXT 2.0, NXT UK with a little bit of a little black and gold in there, but not a lot of it. It's still a little too much 2.0. And I think that's what they need. They need to get a lot of that, some of those extracurricular stories that they're trying to tell that don't necessarily need to be told the way they've been told, or even the stuff with Stax and Tony D can be cringeworthy at times. If they can eliminate a lot of that cringe and focus on the stuff that works, like the in-ring work, the focusing on NXT UK, the Heritage Cup now, stuff that they've been doing with Wesley, and of course the stories that they've been telling around, building both tag divisions and stuff. If they can just focus on that, I think NXT could be in a really good position as this year continues on. But a lot will be affected by the draft. So I'm really, really, really waiting to see how will that turn out. What will change? Will it be any notable faces from NXT gone? Will none of the people we thinking of get drafted? Again, I'm very, very curious. So it's the very curious, but I'm optimistic about going forward in NXT.
I think without a shadow of a doubt. I think that's what the podcast would be called. That we're hopefully optimistic. That's
right.
We always approach update like this, but like I said, I've enjoyed it. It's been fun. Like I said, there is, like I said, excellent point there. Nothing could change, or maybe everything. Who knows? It could be a different NXT when we're reviewing Spring Breaking next month. But that is it for now. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you, sir?
All right. Like you said, on your Twitter banner, or you can, while you're on Twitter, go to @MindMontyPod. Click the link in my bio. Listen to the latest podcast. By tomorrow, the plan will be to have the Sakura Genesis review up for all the people who haven't seen it or don't know. It's one of the biggest shows that New Japan has produced. In the last few years, in my opinion. I think it's one of those things where they kind of re-announced that New Japan is back. So I would really recommend everyone not only check out my pod, but also check out Sakura Genesis. So I'm going to be working hard on trying to get that out tomorrow. So yeah, check that out, my latest podcast, and maybe I'll have a clip or two on YouTube also. So if you want to do that, The Mind of Monty, and subscribe on YouTube.
Perfect. With WNR on Facebook and Instagram across all good platforms. Send us an email to WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube Love Podcast, where all the latest clips and podcasts go at the same time. YouTube do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. And our next episode, not to step on your feet too much, Monty, but you will be joining us. It's going to be double duty for you, sir, because next weekend we will have New Japan Sakura Genesis and the New Japan Cup. And at time of recording, I have watched the first rounds of New Japan Cup, and what you've set me, as I'm not calling it homework, but I have got 18 matches left. Can I get through 18 matches and the Sakura Genesis events until next Saturday? We'll find out.
Right. Find out next time on WNR.
Who knows? But we have caught up with NXT. So that is all that matters. And so until then, I've been
Yes,
Joe
sir.
Rowlands. I was joined by Reminder Monty. Monty, I don't know, man, but I don't know if we bring the fun to it or whatever, but it is always a ride, and it goes so fast. I look at the time and go, is that we're literally wrapping up now? That is it.
Yeah, it's so smooth. That's one thing I always say about the NXT. You know, sometimes those live shows, sometimes the other shows, it can be hectic, they can be long, but these shows, for some reason, I don't know what it is, we always have a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and we always out of here timely. It works out perfectly. Anytime, man, I'm always down to break down the action from, again, our favorite little baby, NXT.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to watch our little baby grow. But that is the Mind of Monty. I've been James Rowlands. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Adios.